in the vibrant, tightly woven neighborhood of Belmont in Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago on May 6, 1953, the heartbeat of a cultural giant was born. David Michael Rudder, later known as the Honorable David Rudder OCC, would not just become a singer, he would become a force, a poet of the people, a Calypsonian whose voice captured the soul of a nation and resonated far beyond the Caribbean seas. The ninth of 9 children, David's early life was anything but glamorous. Raised predominantly by his grandmother, a devout Baptist matriarch, Rudder was surrounded by a spiritual warmth that would later echo through the powerful social commentary in his music. But Belmont was more than just home. It was a melting pot of rhythms, languages, and legacies. And it was here, amid the clang of steel pans, the cadences of Calypso, and the communal struggles of urban life, that Rudder's passion for music took root. By the age of 11, David had already joined a Calypso band, showing a precocious command of rhythm and melody. In his teenage years, while most were still figuring out their path, David was already singing backup in Lord Kitchener's Calypso tent, working under the shadow of one of the greats. At the same time, he worked as an accountant for the Trinidad Bus Company, living the dual life of numbers by day, music by night. The irony? One path paid the bills. The other would one day shape the cultural currency of a nation. By 1977, Rudder's journey had led him to Charlie's Roots, a dominant brass band that was redefining the Trinidadian sound. The band, backed by the influential New York-based producer Rawson Charles, offered Rudder a platform to experiment, grow, and push the envelope of what Calypso could be. For nearly a decade, David honed his craft within the band. But it wasn't until 1986 that the world would truly begin to understand the magnitude of his talent. That year, he made a monumental leap from band member to solo artist. His breakout moment came through his contributions to Andy Narell's album, The Hammer. The album produced 2 runaway hits, the title track, The Hammer, a tribute to legendary panist Rudolph Charles, and Bahia Girl, a sensual, spirited anthem that showcased Rudder's lyrical dexterity and musical innovation. If 1986 was the spark, 1987 was the blaze. Rudder released Calypso Music, a track that wasn't just a song. It was a manifesto, a brilliant encapsulation of the genre's rich history. It served as both homage and reinvention. Through it, Rudder reminded the world that Calypso wasn't just party music. It was resistance, identity, storytelling at its finest. The next year, he released the seminal album, Haiti. It remains arguably his greatest work, a tapestry of sonic brilliance and political poignancy. The title track paid tribute to Haiti's troubled history and proud resilience, while Engine Room pulsed with the raw energy of steel pan orchestras. Then there was Rally Round the West Indies, a track that transcended music and became the de facto anthem of Caribbean cricket, stirring regional pride across island shores. Critics hailed him as modern Calypso's most innovative songwriter. From Tokyo to London, his albums circulated, his lyrics were translated into Japanese, and music journalists lauded him with comparisons to Marley, Fela, and Springsteen. David Rudder was not just a Calypsonian. He was a global voice of Afro-Caribbean identity. Beyond the stage and studio, David Rudder was also a man of family. While he has remained intensely private about his personal life, what is known is that he is a devoted husband and father. His wife, Marion Rudder, has been a quiet but constant presence, a grounding force throughout the dizzying heights of his career and the heavy burdens of his fame. The Rudders built a life together, in which music and family coexisted. His children grew up not only around music, but immersed in a world shaped by storytelling, activism, and art. Even as Rudder's work took him to stages in Europe, Africa, and the Americas, his heart remained rooted in the streets of Trinidad. David Rudder's music has not only moved feet, it has moved minds. He is a master of using melody to deliver messages about social justice, identity, and political integrity. His influence extends far beyond the carnival tents of Port of Spain. In 1991, several of his songs featured in the film Wild Orchid, placing him squarely in the cinematic spotlight. By 1996, the United Nations Development Programme recognized his role as a cultural advocate and appointed him a Goodwill Ambassador. He wasn't just performing anymore. He was preaching without a pulpit, educating without a classroom. Collaborations with soccer stars like Michel Montano and Alison Hines in the 2000s showed that Rudder was as relevant to new generations as he had been to the ones who first heard him in the 1980s. Awards and honors. In 1992, Rudder was awarded a Hummingbird Silver Medal by the government of Trinidad and Tobago. He was later appointed, in 1996, as a Goodwill Ambassador to the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP. On 2 May 2018, Rudder was also bestowed the keys to the city of Port of Spain. On 25 October 2015, the University of the West Indies, UWI, awarded Rudder the honorary degree Doctor of Letters, D.Lit, in recognition of his outstanding contributions to Caribbean culture. On 3 July 2022, Rudder was conferred with the Order of the Caribbean Community, OCC. Yet, even the strongest voices sometimes tremble. In 2023, David Rudder shared heartbreaking news with the world. He had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, but he met the revelation with characteristic grace and courage. Though he would scale back on major performances, he affirmed that he would continue writing, continue creating, and continue sharing his soul through song. "I'll still be singing," he told fans, "just in smaller rooms." And that is David Rudder, in essence, a giant who never needed a stadium to be heard. His voice has always found a way into the heart of the people. Please like, share, and subscribe for more legendary stories.